All right, welcome back to the channel. So the Errol Spence, Yordenis Ugas fight that is more than likely getting set up behind the scenes is being blocked by the WBA, and Yordenis Ugas flips out over it. Let's talk about that because there's a lot of really good information in it. But let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about the welterweight division and a fight that pretty much everybody knows is in the works and going to get made is being blocked by the WBA, and Yordenis Ugas is not happy about it. And that fight is the Errol Spence Jr. versus Yordenis Ugas fight for 3 of the major 4 championship belts at welterweight. Errol Spence Jr. is the WBC champion and the IBF champion, and Yordenis Ugas is the WBA super champion. But the WBA has ordered Yordenis Ugas to fight a guy named STANIONIS. I'm not gonna butcher his last name. His first name, every time I do that, somebody, Eastern European supporter of the channel or hater of the channel, always lays into me about dogging their name. So STANIONIS I think is as close as the pronunciation as I'm going to get. The WBA has ordered Yordenis Ugas to fight him, but if that's not enough, they then ordered Jamal James to fight, I think, Butiev, and then the winner of that fight, the winner of Yordenis Ugas STANIONIS has to fight. So if Yordenis Ugas wins his fights, he's got 2 consecutive fights that the WBA has ordered, which will more than likely prevent Yordenis Ugas from being available for Errol Spence Jr. to fight when Errol Spence Jr. Comes back from his eye injury. Because as you know, fighters typically fight 2 times a year, and that would pretty much push, since it's already October, and Yordenis Ugas and them are not going to be fighting in November or December. That's pretty much pushing any type of unification fight between the winner of that mini tournament and Errol Spence Jr. It's pushing it to 2023. So Yordenis Ugas goes to the media and is absolutely livid, and he points out, and I think a couple things he points out is erroneous, because he says, when have you seen a WBA super champion be forced to fight a mandatory? And in a strict sense, I know of a circumstance where that has taken place. And that is with Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Povetkin. When Deontay Wilder was pushing to get the fight with Anthony Joshua during the whole time where he said he had $50 million that Anthony Joshua had asked for the fight. And then, there was some 24-hour period or whatever that the WBA threw out there and they forced the fight. Now, personally, I don't think that is actually standard policy with the WBA to have their WBA super champions have mandatories. I think that they just do things every once in a while according to their rules that allow them to meet an end. Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua, or Eddie Hearn, did not want that Deontay Wilder fight. And I think, and this is just outside looking in, I have nothing to substantiate it, right? Other than I don't believe in coincidence, right? That they got mighty desperate to make that fight. And then after they imposed the 24-hour deadline on Anthony Joshua to settle, to sign the fight with Povetkin, it was like 3 weeks before they actually signed for the fight. So their 24-hour or 48-hour mandate or whatever immediately went out the window as soon as everybody accepted that the Deontay Wilder Anthony Joshua fight could be made. And so I say that to say that although I can point out some circumstances where the WBA has done that, I don't believe that is standard operating procedure. And I think that it would be a shame for Yordenis Ugas personally if he was not allowed to fight, to fight that unification fight. Because a rule of thumb in boxing, at least people all say that it's a rule of thumb in boxing. I have never actually seen it. I think I've seen it in the WBA, the WBO rules at one point in time. They allude to it, which is that unification trumps mandatories. So if Errol Spence Jr. and Yordenis Ugas can agree to a unification fight, that should trump any type of mandatory that the WBA has. But the problem with that is that Errol Spence Jr. is out on an accident, right? We don't know when Errol Spence Jr. is actually going to return to competition. So even though, Errol Spence Jr., because I've heard it alluded to out of Errol Spence's camp, not said that it's 100%, but Errol Spence Jr., from everything I've heard said in that camp, leads me to believe that Errol Spence Jr. wants to fight Yordenis Ugas when he comes back, because they said that before Manny Pacquiao entered into the picture to fight Errol Spence Jr., that Yordenis Ugas and Errol Spence Jr. were already going to fight each other. But in the WBA side of it, if you don't know when that fight's going to be made, then to order a mandatory fight, it's not a matter of unification versus mandatory, because the guy you're unifying with is not. You don't know when he's going to be an active fighter. It could be till the middle of next year. It could be it could be 8-9 months before that takes place, right? So what might happen is that Yordenis Ugas fights STANIONIS or whatever, say in January or February, and then if Yordenis Ugas is able to beat him, then maybe it'll trump that second fight, which has a good chance of being a rematch with Jamal James. I haven't seen Butiev fight a lot. I'm probably killing his name. Forgive me. Butiev fight much. I've seen a little bit of him, but I like Jamal James as a fighter. He's not, he's a tall, rangy fighter, doesn't have the most power in the world. But if Jamal James is able to beat him, that's a rematch. That would be a rematch between Yordenis Ugas and Jamal James. But also, I might add, though, that the STANIONIS fight with Yordenis Ugas is probably not going to be the easiest fight in the world, from what I've seen with this young guy. Because, well, he's not that young. I think he's 28, but he's a Lithuanian. So, he's not a young fighter, but he's somebody that has a very, very good body attack, very good counter punches up top. He's somebody that's a come forward fighter. Yordenis Ugas is a come forward fighter. And Yordenis Ugas has been beaten, right? He was beaten by Sean Porter, beaten earlier in his career. So it's not a guarantee that Yordenis Ugas is going to get past this kid, man. But I understand why Yordenis Ugas is hot about it, man. Because that's what is best for Yordenis Ugas's career and his ability to feed his family. For the WBC, I think at the very least it's inconsiderate of his interest to shut down what could be a very, very big fight between Yordenis Ugas and Errol Spence for Yordenis Ugas's pocketbook, because more than likely Errol Spence Jr., he'll get paid more money against Errol Spence Jr. than he would in those two fights combined. So, it's just an unfortunate situation for all around, man. And it pretty much all stems from the Errol Spence Jr. eye accident. It was unfortunate that Errol Spence Jr. wasn't able to fight Manny Pacquiao for the regular belt and then follow that fight up with the fight with Yordenis Ugas. Because looking at how Manny Pacquiao looked in the ring against Yordenis Ugas, it's pretty safe to assume that Errol Spence Jr. was about to really do some damage to Manny Pacquiao, man. He just looked old and slow and just did not look like himself, and that's why he's retiring. In fact, Errol Spence Jr. was saying all through the lead up, like, this is gonna be the last fight for Manny Pacquiao when I get done with him. So, even though Yordenis Ugas got that, that super championship, because Errol Spence Jr. was injured, the unification fight gets delayed and kind of messes him up. So, I understand where the WBA's coming. I understand where Yordenis Ugas is coming from, and it's just an all-around unfortunate circumstance. You let me know what you think in the comment section, and with that, I'm out. But don't forget to subscribe and like the channel and all that good stuff. But with that, I'm out. Peace.